On a fateful day in 1994, the nation was rocked by the extraordinary tale of Susan Smith. At the tender age of 23, she found herself at the center of a media storm after making a frantic call to the police. Her distressing report detailed the horrifying ordeal of her two beloved children who had allegedly been abducted by an unidentified black man during a terrifying carjacking incident. In the days that followed, tears streamed down her face as she stood beside her husband, David Smith, on live television. With a trembling voice, she made a heartfelt plea for the safe return of their children. "Your mama loves you so much," Susan said during the emotional news conference. At first, the story shared by the mom from Union, South Carolina, seemed incredibly dramatic, but as time went by, it became apparent that it was all just a tall tale. Finally, after 9 days, Smith confessed that there had been no assailant and no kidnapping involved. In a chilling turn of events, Smith callously ended the lives of her two sons, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alexander, by plunging her car into the nearby John D. Long Lake. Tragically, the innocent boys were helplessly strapped into their car seats when this unimaginable tragedy took place. During the time of the murders, Smith was married to David Smith, but was engaged in an illicit affair with a wealthy man who had made it clear that he had no interest in having children. Tom Finley, her potential lover and former flame, wrote a letter 7 days prior that allegedly pushed Smith to drown the children. Smith was under the impression that the only way to satisfy her new lover, Tom Finley, was to remove her children from the equation. Finley, who happened to be the son of the company owner, where Smith held a secretarial position, had expressed his disinterest in having children. It was rumored that Finley had broken things off with Smith shortly before the tragic incident occurred. "Susan, I could really fall for you, but like I've told you before, there are some things about you that aren't suited for me. And yes, I am speaking about your children," he wrote. During the trial for Smith's murder case, her stepfather, Beverly Russell, revealed that he and Smith had a consensual relationship a couple of months before she committed the tragic act of drowning her sons. He also confessed to assaulting Smith when she was 16, but emphasized that neither Smith nor her mother chose to press charges. Russell pleaded with the jury to show mercy towards Smith, emphasizing that he shared some of the blame for the crime. It was on July the 22nd, 1995, that Smith was sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of the murders of both boys. Despite speculation, Smith has always contended that she did not harm her children because of a man, but rather due to a psychotic breakdown. When she was spared the death penalty, her husband stated on the courthouse steps, "I'll never forget what Susan has done, and I'll never forget Michael and Alex." He also expressed disappointment with her sentence. "Me and my family, of course, are disappointed that the death penalty wasn't the verdict." Smith's period in jail has been marked by a series of disciplinary problems, from using illegal substances to self-injury and even having a romantic entanglement with a prison guard. The year 2000 saw Smith getting entangled in controversy yet again due to her reported intimate involvement with a prison guard named Houston Cagle. Consequently, he was terminated from his position and had to spend 3 months in jail after confessing to the unlawful affair. Following that, another prison worker, Alfred Rowe, acknowledged his involvement in an illicit romantic relationship with Smith. Rowe was given a 5-year probation sentence in 2001. Rumors have circulated that Susan cunningly engaged in an affair with one of the guards, all in a strategic move to secure a transfer to a different correctional facility. It seems that her initial request had been denied, but after the affair, she managed to achieve her desired outcome. Smith, on the other hand, asserts that her intentions have been misinterpreted. The state received a letter from Smith in 2015. "I am not the monster society thinks I am," she wrote. "I am far from it. Something went wrong that night. I was not myself," she continued. "I was a good mother, and I loved my boys. There was no motive, as it was not even a planned event. I was not in my right mind." Reflecting on his past, Smith's ex-husband and father of their boys confided in People about the enduring pain that continues to haunt him, never allowing him to fully recover. "There's always this nagging and gnawing heartache," David Smith said. "It's there every day, even if I'm not always conscious of it." Susan, a prominent prisoner in South Carolina, has been exchanging romantic letters with her boyfriends while incarcerated. Smith has allegedly entered into a long-distance romance with an unidentified gentleman, aiming for the relationship to thrive once she is granted parole in November of 2024. Susan has made countless pledges to numerous men, vowing to be with them once she regains her freedom from prison. It has been widely circulated that Susan is a woman of means, having amassed a considerable fortune from several men who have faithfully sent her money on a weekly basis for many years. Smith's potential partners have been actively demonstrating their support. A few have graciously offered her monetary help, a comfortable place to stay once she's granted parole, and the thrilling opportunity to build a life together. One suitor expressed, "She's a good person who did something terrible when she was young and not in her right mind. People can change." In a recorded phone call, Ruth, a dear friend of Smith, provided valuable advice on how to approach her case with the parole board. Ruth recommended that Smith focus on the topic of postpartum depression, which can endure for up to 3 years following childbirth. By highlighting this aspect, Smith could shed light on the challenges she faced during that period and how it influenced her circumstances. "Prepare now what you will say when you're given the chance to speak at your parole," Ruth advised. "It won't be easy." As the looming date of Susan Smith's first parole hearing draws near, the nation remains deeply divided on whether she should be given a chance at freedom or continue to pay for the horrific crime she committed. The haunting memory of her actions has plagued the country for nearly 3 decades, leaving no easy answer to the question of parole. Should Susan be released because she was so young when she committed the crime? Do you think Susan is a victim herself because of her childhood? Has she paid her debt to society? Should she be set free? Or do you believe, like many others, that she should spend the rest of her life in prison? Smith's actions touched and destroyed many lives around her. What are your thoughts?